Hello and welcome to Becoming Boss C. I wanted to do a quick story time about the worst feedback session that I ever had while I was working in the Big Four accounting industry. It was in 2020, so of course this is during a global pandemic and we are all working remotely from home. The manager was, of course, delivering this feedback, and mind you, it was not positive feedback. It was actually some negative feedback or constructive criticism, and he delivered it virtually, remotely, via video conference, which is acceptable given the circumstances, of course. However, the part that really, turned me off from fully receiving the feedback was that not only was he remote, which I expected, but he was not giving full eye contact at all. In fact, you probably won't believe this, but he was driving his vehicle with his laptop in his seat, and he explained that he was on his way to either Lowe's or Home Depot because he needed some materials or something. Mind you, this is during work hours. This is on a weekday. He was not on PTO from my understanding. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure we would have rescheduled. So I was just wondering, I was curious, why is this person, I could say if it was fully positive feedback, then I would not have mind the channel through which he chose to deliver the feedback. But it was, serious constructive criticism that really affected my career and potentially my promotion as well. And he seemed to not take the session as seriously as I would have liked for him to do, and as I expected him to do, especially in the Big Four. So our feedback sessions, you have check-ins typically every other week. It can vary, of course, depending on what team you're on. But this was like the big annual assessment of where you are in relation to your peers, whether they think you're ready for the next level, etc. And he was very not present with me. So that lack of communication or that lack of eye contact, the way in which he just haphazardly delivered the message or the criticism to me that I knew would affect my ratings, my performance, my bonus, my progression in the firm was it was just disappointing, And so there was another person also on the call who was more of a monitoring person. He just wanted to make sure that all the points were communicated to me. And he acted like it was normal as well. He didn't really, say, hey, let's reschedule. Let's find a time when you're off, you're not running errands. Let's meet up again. No, it was just very casual, even though this had lasting effects on my career in public accounting. And honestly, I'll admit that was part of the reason why I knew that I was ready to exit public accounting. I just felt somewhat like a number there. I didn't feel like I received the proper training and feedback throughout my time there. I'm gonna step on some toes, but I did feel like there were favorites. Of course, I think every organization has its organizational politics or office politics, of course. But I especially felt it as a woman and as a minority. I definitely felt that I had to work a little bit harder to connect with my peers and superiors who were at the firm. Anyway, I share this story because I hope that if you're ever in a position of leadership or a supervisory role, that you will learn from my lesson that I had to experience, unfortunately, and that you will do the following, so that hopefully you will make eye contact, preferably meet in person with the employee. Of course, given the social distancing, the pandemic was about June 2020, so everything was still new. We still didn't know how dire the situation was with the COVID-19 pandemic, but still try to meet in person, make eye contact, have some sympathy for the person that you're delivering the feedback to, especially if it's constructive criticism or negativity or negative ratings, at least. And, give examples of what you expected versus what the person performed, or how they performed, or how they acted. Definitely. The feedback was not thorough. There were no concrete examples of what could have been done correctly. I don't know if you've heard of this theme called projection, where you basically, or let's say a manager, supervisor will project one incident that was very recent onto the full year of events. So while the employee may have had, great success during the year and maybe had a bad week, especially, during busy season, you're bound to have a bad week, or you're just off your game. You're tired, you're exhausted, you're working, 60 plus hours normally. So you're guaranteed to be fatigued, especially as you near the end. But I felt as though there was a projection of this one week or this one event, and that made the entire feedback discussion centered around that. So definitely be objective, be fair, consider the entire productivity of the employee, and be sympathetic, and be empathetic, because normally if you are a manager in the Big Four, then you had to be a senior at one point, you had to be a staff at one point, so the struggles that happen and that someone can experience during busy season. So that is the end of this little story time. I might pop in a few feedback points just to make it more informative if you are entering, a senior role, if you're entering a manager, senior manager, partner role, etc. Thank you for listening. Lastly, for those receiving feedback, be open to the feedback, whether it's positive or negative, and take accountability for your actions, your performance. You can always do better, and stay blessed and stay bossy.